Hi, my name's Andrew Berry and welcome to our At the Bench YouTube channel. We want to be making up some silver domes today, some simple half domes, hemispherical domes, and we need to make them a specific size, and today we want to make them 17 millimeters in diameter. That means the height of the dome will be half that, so that's 8.5 millimeters in height. But what size disc do we need to start with? Do we need to just guess and then carry on dapping the discs until we get the right size, or do we start off with a specific size? Well, there is a formula out there that enables you to know what size disc that you need to start off with to end up with a finished size diameter dome. Now, because the metal thickness obviously varies in the way you dome it and the way the dome is finished, you need to know the thickness of the metal beforehand. So there's a formula, and I'll show you that now. So what we need to do, we need to find out exactly what size our dome needs to be, and I want to make it 17 millimeters. Okay, so I've got a nice 17 millimeter dome there. I've got a gorgeous dome in set as well. Let me move it out the way. So there's our dome in block and our punch. We need to know what size disc. Well, let's work out a formula. I've got some silver here, an oddment of silver that I'm going to use. This is 1 millimeter thick. So what you need to do, you need to get your calculator, or if you're good at maths on a bit of paper, write it all out. So we need our finished diameter first of all, which is 17. Okay, so there's 17. We want to take away the thickness of the metal. Our metal is 1 millimeter, so we minus 1 millimeter. If it was 3/4 of a millimeter, we would minus 0.75. So we need to minus 1 millimeter thickness. That brings us down to 16. We need to times that by pi. Now, pi is a mathematical number. It's 3.142. So we times that by 3.142, which brings us out at 50.272. We now need to times that by 0.9. That 0.9 is a fixed amount that you times it by, exactly like pi. So 0.9, so we times that by 0.9. That brings a total of 45.2448. We don't need all those decimal points. So we divide that now by 2. So we divide that by 2, which equals 22.6. So the disc we need to start off with is 22.6 millimeters in diameter for a 1 millimeter thick piece of sheet to end up into a hemispherical dome of 17 millimeters. So say you wanted to have a 15 millimeter dome with 3/4 thick silver. So you start off with 15. You would then minus 3/4 of a millimeter, 0.75, which equals 14. Now pi, 3.142, times that by 3.142 equals that number there. Times that by 0.9, times that by 0.9, which equals 40.29. Divide that by 2. So the disc we need to make a 15 millimeter dome is 20 millimeters. So that is the equation that you need to remember to make a gorgeous dome. So let's quickly make one up and I'll show you now. So 22 millimeters, wasn't it we needed? 22.6. I've got, the nearest I got is exactly 22. So I'm going to be half a millimeter smaller. My other one there is much too big. Okay, so let's stamp this out. Let's put a piece of metal in the opposite side as well, the same thickness. Okay, you can tighten that down with our fingers or use an Allen key, and we need to tap that out. So there is our disc. Of our 1mm thick to make our hemispherical dome. So we're going to start off with a larger dome than what we actually need. Don't go too small because you're going to get wrinkles around the actual dome. Let's start off with quite a large dome here. And we're going to do this rather gradually. Okay, so we're just going to get a slight little dome like we've got on there. And then we move down gradually into smaller domes as we go, obviously using slightly smaller punches. The next one. It is important to make sure that you get all the way around the disc itself, and you'll start having a gorgeous dome, as we can see. So we've used that one there, the next size down. That's a little bit too big to go in. How's that looking? Perfect. And we just continue. A little bit on the noisy side, admittedly. But obviously, as you can see, the disc starts at a certain size. It has to then go into the dome in shape, so it makes the diameter slightly smaller. And that's exactly what we needed to find out, what size we needed to start off with at the beginning. Now when you start to get into this sort of size dome that's a good shape, simply tapping down in the middle may not be enough. You may need to move the disc around the inside of the dome, the doming block, as we go. It's going to get work hardened, isn't it? It's going to get harder as we go along. So once you feel that the dome is not moving, it's not moving as well as what you expected, well then it is time then to anneal it. I think that's time to anneal. And you need to warm it up until it's a nice dull red colour. Let that cool down for a few seconds, then we can quench it in our acid. It is important now that you make sure that this dome is completely dry, because any damp on this dome, this silver disc, you're going to be contaminating the gorgeous, smooth surface of your doming block. You want to make sure, just warm that up slightly, just to get rid of any moisture. Okay, let's carry on doming. Let's make sure that one goes in. Super. This one we were in. See if I can feel it going down into the dome. So we're getting there. That's 19. We're coming down to our 17mm now, which is going to be, let me just use this one. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's the one we just used. We need to come down to a slightly smaller one, which is going to be, is it that one or that one? Is it that one? Or that one there? I think it's this one here. Let's just double check. It's that one there, but I'm going to use a slightly smaller punch on this. What you're going to find, the edges around the outside of your doming block here have to be fairly smooth because it's going to mark the edges of my silver. So I'm just going to take it this way to try and bring in the diameter of my dome. And we'll keep turning it around and around. And it's getting a gorgeous, gorgeous hemispherical look about it. And around we go. And again, when you find that the metal isn't moving, anneal it. There's no harm in annealing the metal. We need to make this a gorgeous, even half a dome at a 17 millimeters outside diameter. So what size is it now? We're down to 17.35. So I am virtually spot on, 0.35 of a millimeter to go. Measure the diameter. So we're down to 17.08, 07. That's 7/100ths of a millimeter off. And by the time we have buffed the surface and polished it, we would have removed that little bit extra, so we will be down to a nice, gorgeous 17 millimeter half a dome. So that's how we know what size disc to start off with to make a specific dome. 22.6 millimeter disc ends up with a 17 millimeter half dome. My name is Andrew Berry for At The Bench. Thank you for watching, and I apologise for the sound. Our radio mics aren't working this afternoon, so we've had to use the onboard sound on the camera. But thank you for watching. My name is Andrew Berry for our At The Bench YouTube channel. See you next time. Bye bye.